Good evening, Judy's House friends and family. I'm Brian Greasy here in Tampa, the site of Super Bowl 55. We're going to kick off the Super Saturday Bowl Bash in just a few minutes. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got Charles Woodson on the eve of getting into the Hall of Fame. We're going to learn more about Judy's House, and we're going to preview this game between Kansas City and Tampa. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Judy's House. Founded by former NFL quarterback Brian Greasy and clinical child psychologist Dr. Brooke Greasy, Judy's House honors the legacy of Brian's mother, Judi, who died when he was just 12 years old. Here, we believe that supporting children grieving a death loss builds connection and coping that leads to healing. We help the entire family adjust to loss and prepare for future challenges by investing in prevention and fostering resilience. Since opening our doors in 2002, Judy's House has served over 11,000 individuals without any cost to the families. Our work centers on direct services, training and education, and evaluation and research. In 2019 alone, we provided comprehensive grief care to more than 1,600 children and caregivers, more individuals in 1 year than ever before. Our evening programs begin with dinner. All families know they can rely on being served a hot meal and having time to connect, breaking down barriers to accessing support. Our Pathfinders program runs every quarter and includes 10 sessions held 3 evenings a week. Families are grouped together based on similar death loss experiences. Each week, all age groups focus on a common milestone of healing and coping skill that families can discuss and practice together at home. Adults also review caregiving skills to support them in parenting a grieving child. Many families continue on to our Connections program, an ongoing group that meets every other week. Our work wouldn't be possible without our dedicated group of staff, trainees, and volunteers. The Pathfinders program culminates with each family creating a quilt square in memory of the person who died. Quilting volunteers piece the squares together to represent the patchwork of connections families made with one another on their journey towards healing. Our youth groups bring together same-aged peers with similar loss experiences, from preschoolers to young adults. Our Coping Companion tool helps clients of all ages learn that grief is not just limited to feelings, but includes behaviors, thoughts, and body reactions as well. Our clinical team collaborates with families to assess and address their diverse and individualized needs. When appropriate, kids and adults participate in individual, couples, or family counseling. As we traverse down the stairs, participants are met with helping hands, messages of hope and advice from current clients to future clients. The art room, sand tray room, energy room, and theater room offer spaces and creative outlets for kids to share the difficult parts of their internal worlds using their first language, play. At Judy's House, our ability to help children and families grieving a death find connection and healing is made possible by the generosity of our community through volunteerism and philanthropy. Together, we can move closer to our vision that no child should be alone in grief.
Raymond James Stadium, where in 24 hours from now, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes will take the field in Super Bowl 55. The greatest to ever play the game goes up against the best player in the game today. What a headline for this Super Bowl. Welcome to the Super Saturday Bowl Bash. I am Brian Greasy, and I'm coming to you from our beautiful ESPN set here in Tampa. I got to say thanks to ESPN for giving us a little bit of time on the set. Had to pull a few strings, I'm going to be honest. But thank you for joining us tonight. We are going to have a lot of fun this hour. We're going to preview the upcoming game tomorrow between Kansas City and Tampa. We're going to have a special visit from Charles Woodson, who's a Hall of Fame finalist. On the eve tonight, he is going to find out whether he is in the Hall of Fame. We'll talk with him. And most important, we're going to learn a little bit more about Judi's House and the work that they do in Denver, helping grieving children and families. But before we get to all that, we're also going to hear from two very special families about the important work that Judi's House has done for them and how they're impacting their community. This is the first time we've done this virtual event like this, and I kind of feel like my worlds are colliding a little bit. You know, I've been doing this work for ESPN for 12 years on Monday Night Football for this past season, and I had a blast doing it. But this is the first time that I've hosted a virtual event for Judi's House while I'm working for ESPN. And so some of you might be thinking, what is Brian's connection to Judi's House? Well, Judi was my mom. She died when I was 12 years old from breast cancer. And I remember as a 12-year-old boy thinking that I was the only 12-year-old boy in the world that had just lost his mom. I didn't have anywhere to go to meet other kids that were going through the same thing, and I felt very alone. It was a very difficult time in my life, and I would have benefited from having somewhere I could go to meet other kids that were going through the same thing that I was. And maybe I could have avoided some negative outcomes if I had that opportunity. And when I got a chance to play in the National Football League for the Denver Broncos, I knew that I wanted to give back to families that were going through that had lost a mother or a father, or a brother or sister. And we started this organization. My wife, Brooke, and I did it together almost 19 years ago. And in those 19 years, we've worked with over 11,000 kids and their caregivers, trying to prevent negative outcomes of unresolved grief. I don't think that as a society, we really understand how many kids are out there that are dealing with loss. Well, when you look at it nationally, 1 out of every 14 kids will lose a mother or father or brother or sister before they reach the age of 18. That's nearly 5 million children in our country. We have to help them. We have to do a better job of talking about grief, of companioning them through that most difficult time, and hopefully on the other side of that, they will give back in honor of the person who's died. That's been our mission at Judi's House for 19 years, to create connection and healing, and I've been really honored and proud to be a part of it. Both Brooke and I will do this work until they tell us we can't do it anymore. We are that passionate about it. But that's just my story. I want you to hear some stories from folks that have come through Judi's House, and to give you a little bit more information of the important work that's done at Judi's House, I'm going to send this virtual event cross-country. It's kind of a benefit to doing this virtually. We're going to go cross-country to Denver, and I'm going to toss this program to our Judi's House quarterback, if you will, our Patrick Mahomes, our CEO, Jessica Maitland-Mayo.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that incredibly kind introduction. And frankly, I have never been compared to a quarterback in my career. So thank you for this great moment for me today as well. It looks beautiful out in Tampa, and what a rare opportunity for us at Judi's House to get to see behind the scenes, to be able to do this work with you, to get to come and see what it looks like on the ESPN set and be excited about the big game tomorrow. So we at Judi's House, Brian, are incredibly grateful for what you do for our organization and letting us have the opportunity for this fun next hour that we get to spend together. And Brian, I know it's beautiful out there in Tampa, but it's also beautiful where we are. We're so excited that we are able to come to all of you live from Denver, Colorado, and we're actually standing in Judi's House. As you saw in the video at the top of the program, we're actually in what we call our large living room in the midst of our beautiful Victorian mansion, which is where Judi's House is housed in Denver, Colorado. This room is where much of the therapeutic work that we do supporting grieving children and families happens. So it's an honor for us to be here. And it's an honor for us to welcome all of you to our first ever Super Saturday Bowl Bash. We're so thrilled to be able to welcome our old-time, long-time supporters to this event and say thank you for being with us over the years. And we also know we've got the opportunity to say hello and welcome to some new friends as well. So thank you for joining us this evening. I also want to take a moment. We would be remiss if we did not give a huge shout out to the sponsors that have made this evening's event possible. So many people come forward and help our organization. We're a nonprofit. Everything we do is free of charge for the clients that we serve, and we could not do the work we do without philanthropic support from the community. And this event is no different. So a huge shout out to our MVP sponsor of the night for tonight's event. Thank you to Mike and Peggy Shanahan for all of their efforts and their sponsorship for this event this evening. Thank you. You make our world better, Mike and Peggy. I also want to take a moment and thank our touchdown sponsors. We couldn't have this event as well without their support. So a big thank you to Sharon Magnus Blake and Ernie Blake, the RJ Clark Family Foundation, Ron Kemp, Tyler and Lauren Magnus, Breakthrough Beverage, Melissa Carrata Harrison, and the UBS Private Wealth Management. We're so grateful for your sponsorship this evening. And as we look back over this last year, I wanted to have just a moment to talk to you about what this last year looked like for Judy's House as we do our important work. We, like so many other organizations and individuals, and frankly, all of us, saw the world change around us. And like everyone else, we were confronted with obstacles and challenges that, frankly, this organization had never seen in its history before. I'm very proud to say that did not stop our organization from remaining present for the grieving children and families who rely on the services that we provide them. We found new ways to help families cope with a death loss through the delivery of our comprehensive grief care model, which is a system of support grown out of nearly 2 decades of research and learning. As this pandemic continues, we look around and we see, unfortunately and tragically, that grief has certainly taken center stage in our country, in our nation, and in fact in the world. And for us at Judy's House, it underscores how important our work is and that we actually are needed now more than ever before. Our mission to help grieving children and families find connection and healing has never been more critical. And our vision that no child should be alone in grief brings a new sense of urgency as we go about our work. I am so proud of the way our staff has found new ways to deliver upon our same mission, despite all those hurdles and obstacles that came before us in this last year. So many things were done differently so that we could support those families who rely on us. But to name just a few, we were able to leverage technology to offer telehealth and telehealth counseling to all those families grappling with grief when we could not gather in person. And when summer rolled around and it was safer to be outside and be together, we offered our group version of being together in our beautiful backyard here at Judy's House so that we could safely gather and support one another in the work that we do. We also reimagined our school-based programs. Typically, we would go into a school and work with grieving children while they're at school. Obviously, we couldn't do that as schools became virtual. So we had to reinvent our programming for schools and bring virtual trainings to full classrooms. One of the benefits there is we've been able to work with children who are grieving and also work with their peers who are not grieving so that we can provide education to make kids and families more aware and more grief informed as we go forward with our work. In addition, we supported 26 interns and postgraduate trainees with hands-on counseling experience during a pandemic to create a more grief-informed workforce that can go out into the world and help others who are grieving. And also, and finally, and so important and germane to the work that we do at Judy's House and JAG Institute, in partnership with the New York Life Foundation, our own JAG Institute released our 2020 Childhood Bereavement Estimation Model. This is an analytical tool that helps determine the prevalency of bereaved children in our nation and in states, and now actually down to the county level. The availability of a tool like this that we create out of Judy's House and JAG Institute means that we can help ourselves and other grief centers across the rest of the nation have better data to inform their work and get better outcomes in the work that they're doing across the nation as we all work to support grieving children and families. And it helps all of us use this tool to advocate for more funding and awareness as we do our critical work. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to all of you who helped rally behind us during this incredibly challenging year. We are especially grateful to our staff, to our trainees, to our volunteers, to our board of directors, to our donors, and to the community. You know, now that we are firmly planted in 2021, we have the unique opportunity to look back and use what we learned during this last challenging year, and then build upon our existing culture that honors the unique grief journey of every person as we move forward. We're so glad that you've been able to join us tonight for our first ever Super Saturday Bowl Bash, and also so glad to have you on the journey with us here at Judy's House as we do our critical work. It's now my great pleasure and honor to introduce and turn it over to Dr. Brooke Greasy. She's also our co-founder of the organization and truly the visionary behind all the good we do here at Judy's House. Brooke will be introducing our 2021 Healing Hand honoree. Brooke.
Thank you, Jessica. It has indeed been an incredibly trying year, and I am so grateful to you and our leadership team, Mickey, Alex, Laura, and Julie, for helping our amazing staff navigate this challenging time so successfully, so that we could continue to be there for our families when they have needed us most. And thank you to all of our attendees tonight for taking the time to be here for the children and families we serve. We couldn't do this vital work without you. For those of you who are new to Judy's House and JAG Institute, we launched our Strength in the Face of Adversity Luncheon in 2015. Each year, we look forward to bringing the Judy's House community together in person, usually in a huge room, to highlight our shared achievements and celebrate those who've made a significant impact on our mission. Unfortunately, for reasons all too familiar to all of us, we've been unable to host our annual luncheon, our biggest fundraising event and gathering. But with lemons, we make lemonade. And we are excited to celebrate virtually instead with attendees from all over the country: Arkansas, Arizona, California, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, New York, Texas, Utah, Washington, Wisconsin, and of course, our home state of Colorado. A silver lining of this pandemic is that we have all gotten better at staying connected via technology, even across long distances. We are thrilled to have our family and friends, both new and old, joining us from far and wide tonight. It's going to be a really fun evening, and it's wonderful to have you all here. So each year at our luncheon, we present an esteemed member of our Judy's House family with our Healing Hand Award. This award commemorates immeasurable and selfless contributions to Judy's House through advocacy, volunteerism, financial support, and more. In fact, we actually have several of our past honorees joining us online this evening. It's great to have you here. It is my profound honor to announce the Betts family as the 2021 recipients of the Healing Hand Award. Mike and Debbie Betts have been dear friends and passionate supporters of Judy's House for many years. Since 2008, the Michael and Cora Betts Legacy Foundation has raised a combined total of nearly $200,000 to support our vision that no child should be alone in grief. Now let's hear from Mike and Debbie about their involvement with Judy's House.
I'm Mike Betts, and this is my wife, Debbie. And we first heard of Judy's House after the accident where we lost Michael and Cora. We actually had gone out to visit for her cousin's husband's surprise 30th birthday. And we were just on our way back, and that's where I ended up hitting a deer. And then because of where we ended on the road, then a truck hit us. And that's the impact that, ended up taking Michael and Cora. So after the accident, our community kind of surrounded and enveloped us with like a big, huge hug. Like it was a warm feeling in a very tough time, but also knowing we had Aspen and PJ, who both could utilize potentially some help, and we had people mentioning Judy's House. If I think back to the parent I was during that lost time, and I wasn't where I wanted to be, and if the kid's not where they want to be, how much do we lose with that?
We did go through Pathfinders with Aspen and the two of us, and then it all just kind of flowed from there.
We had a lot of ideas, because at first I think we started the foundation without knowing what events we wanted to do. I like to golf, and I've been in lots of charity golf tournaments, so that was kind of high on my list. There was another event that we also did.
The Cora Betts Royal Ball. We wanted an event for each child, so we kind of did the ball under Cora's name and the golf tournament under Michael's. And we liked the idea of something that you could bring your kids to, a family event that was a fancy formal dinner with dancing and just that big party that little kids don't really get to go to.
And then the golf tournament, it's such a fun event. We created a signature hole where you have to tee off in a snowboard. My son loves snowboarding. And then you usually put a kangaroo hat on, because Cora was our little kangaroo. And a lot of golfers they love that hole. We just ended up completing our 13th year of the golf tournament, and it's pretty much grown every year. And we were really excited this year that we didn't know what to expect with the pandemic, and we actually even eclipsed our biggest year. So we actually raised $22,000 this last year, and I think we're on the cusp of $200,000 over the 13 years. The impact that Judi's House has had is allowed us to have a foundation, knowing that as kids hit different growth stages, that they re-experience some of the grief and some of those things. And so to be cognizant of that, also to have undergone the grief journey myself and with Deb, allows me to understand more of where they might be in the journey. I remember Brian saying at one time, this is not a charity, this is a need for our community. So I love that this isn't just we're doing something nice for these kids and we're trying to help. This is science backing it.
It's just so great that there's a place that's solely focused on the kids and their families and trying to get them through whatever their loss was.
And with all that, there's not a better organization that we would want to be affiliated with. Speaking for my wife and the Betts family, we are just so honored and grateful for the Healing Hands Award. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mike and Debbie, for sharing your story and your whole hearts with us. We are incredibly thankful for your friendship, and we admire how you have channeled your tremendous loss into helping others heal. This Healing Hand Award is so deeply deserved. The photos of Cora's Royal Ball brought back such wonderful memories. It was my absolute favorite gala of all time. And I cherish the photos of my own kids. You can see them here when they were little, thoroughly enjoying the ball, dressed up as a princess and a knight, celebrating their Grandma Judi. You have always made the children in our community feel special, cared for, and cherished. What an amazing legacy. Thank you. And speaking of community champions who have devoted themselves to helping children and families, I'm excited to head back to Tampa to check in with Brian and our very special guest, Charles Woodson. Brian, I hope you're enjoying our old stopping grounds there in Tampa. I'm a little jealous seeing all the sand and the sun. We had wonderful times there, but I'm so glad that I held on to this throwback jersey from your days as a Buccaneer. I don't know if you guys remember, but Brian was the quarterback there. This is perfect for cheering on your buddy Tom tomorrow. Our son Nate is a huge Bucs fan, and our daughter Leah is a Fanatics Chiefs supporter. It's going to be loud and a lot of fighting in our house tomorrow. So I promised I would wear her hat tonight too, signed by her beloved Patrick Mahomes, her Patrick Mahomes. We have our own, and Jessica, our amazing leader. And by all of our favorites, their Hall of Fame grandpa, Bobo. I know Bob's watching from Florida tonight, and he sends his gratitude to all of you for supporting Judy's House. And I'm sure he's watching for you tonight, Charles, as well. So back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Brooke, and congratulations again to Mike and Debbie Betts. What a wonderful tradition. 13 years they've hosted that Betts golf tournament. It's become a wonderful tradition in Judy's House and helps us in so many ways. Thank you, guys. Speaking of traditions, the NFL has a unique tradition that on the eve of every Super Bowl, they announce the inductees for that year to the NFL Hall of Fame. And tonight, we have the special privilege of being joined by one of those potential inductees. This year's class is a wonderful class. It's an amazing class. Peyton Manning, it's John Lynch, our Denver brethren, Calvin Johnson, otherwise known as Megatron. But the one that's going to join us tonight is an old friend of mine and a former teammate, Charles Woodson. And Charles is one of the best players to ever play the game. 18 years he played in the National Football League. Half of those years, 9, he went to the Pro Bowl. He was the Defensive Player of the Year, and he was a Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 45 with the Green Bay Packers. Believe it or not, he had 65 career interceptions. I threw a couple to him, I will confess. But maybe the biggest impact that Charles has had wasn't on the field. We'll talk with him a little bit about that. But simply, Charles was one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Charles Woodson, oh, what an effort by Charles Woodson. Waits, he throws for the first. It is Charles Woodson.
He runs Woodson all the way back to the 22-yard line. Woodson's got one block and another block. Touchdown.
If this is not the kind of player that should be considered to be the best in the country, heck, I don't know who should be.
And the winner, the Heisman Memorial Trophy Award from Michigan, Charles Woodson.
4th down, game's over, I'm a champ.
Charles, my man.
What's up, B?
Let's start, man, with the significance of the moment, bud. There's been tens of thousands of NFL players to play through the history of the league over 100 years. There's only 346 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And after 18 years now, bud, and then 5 years that you had to wait, now you're up for the first time for a finalist to be elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What does it feel like?
You talk about the thousands of players that have played in this game, and there's only, like you said, 300 or so players that are in the Hall of Fame, man. So the significance of that to me is like unreal, right? Because, you grow up playing the game and, you watch it your whole life and, you emulate certain players. Growing up, I used to always say I was Walter Payton when I was in the schoolyard. You looked up to the guys that played in the NFL. And so to be in a position to where you actually make it there and you play a career that's worthy of even being in that same conversation, to be in this particular moment is something like that's above and beyond. Really is.
Take us through what's going to happen, right? Tonight, there's a dinner, and you're going to go to the dinner, and then they put you in a hotel room somewhere or something, and then there's a knock on the door. We hear all the stories. But what have they told you? How's it going to go down tonight, and what do you think you're going to be feeling in your stomach?
Well, actually, this year is going to be different, because of COVID rules, right? So, in years past, all of the finalists, they would go to the Super Bowl, they would stay in a hotel. You would either wait for a knock or a phone call, and then you'd find out whether or not you're in or not. But this year, nobody's going to the Super Bowl. That I know of. So everybody's going to kind of find out, I guess, at the same time whether or not they're in or not. But you're not going to be all in one place waiting on that knock.
That's probably better than waiting in a hotel room, right? Just get a phone call. Let's get it over with. Peyton Manning is a finalist along with you, and he reached out to me this week, and he said that he knows he's going to get in as a first ballot. He was hoping that you weren't going to get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer as payback for the Heisman Trophy. I'm just kidding. He didn't really say that.
Hey, well, all I can say is he better keep his fingers crossed.
I gotta confess, the Heisman Trophy, the fact that you won the Heisman Trophy as the only defensive player ever to win it, I was a little bit nervous when they called your name because I felt like I might have ruined it for you by not giving you one more stat line of having a touchdown pass. And that game against Wisconsin, I threw it to you, you threw it back to me, and then I'm running down the sideline as fast as I can, man. I gave you everything I had. I just came up a little bit short.
Hey, man, I was just happy that you got up because it looked like you took a pretty hard hit to your hip. I'm just glad you were able to finish the game, man. And so I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I thought I gave him a pretty good pass, and all of a sudden you just slow poked up the sideline. I'm like, dude, get in the end zone, man. I know you faster than that.
Hey, all kidding aside, the pass was a little bit behind me. If you would have led me upfield, I probably would have scored.
But I hit you right here, though. It's right in your hands, though. Right in your hands.
Yeah, that's kind of how I hit you one time when you were playing for Green Bay and I'm playing for Tampa Bay. And, I wanted to pad your stats for this moment in time so that, there'd be no question with 65 career interceptions that you should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But, yeah, I mean, I didn't think you were going to do me like that, intercept me. You don't have to take it all the way back for a touchdown. And I never forget, I'm running after you, and I know I have no chance of catching you. And you look over at me, and there's a big smile in your face, man.
Like, look here, man, there's no way I'm letting Brian Greasy catch me from behind. I had my fingers crossed that you would try to throw that little check down, and you did, man. And you know what? We're teammates, right? So we would look out for each other. So you looked out for me, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm always looking out. Do you want to tell everybody who ended up winning the game?
That's a little hazy.
I'll let you get away with that one. You're always stealing from me. Great perspective from Charles. I can't wait. In a little bit, we're going to come back and talk about the game tomorrow. Preview Kansas City versus Tampa Bay with Charles and hear his personal story of playing in Super Bowl 45, getting hurt and coming back in that game and then end up winning. I can't wait for him to tell you that story. But right now, we're going to throw it back to Jessica and Brooke in Denver.
Thank you, Brian and Charles. Oh, that was so fun to watch. Thank you for letting us get to be a part of that. And what amazing opportunity for us at Judy's house to get to see inside your career-long friendship and also to get to cheer Charles on as the Hall of Fame inductees are announced tonight. We're so excited to be cheering for you, Charles, and thank you once again for making time out of your day to support Judy's house and help bring this important mission to all the folks who are watching. We're so appreciative to both of you. And I know you're all waiting for this piece, but we're going to hear more about the matchup between Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pretty soon. But first, we want to take just a quick moment and let all of you know at home who are watching that you too can be a part of supporting our mission. As we talked about earlier, the work that we do here at Judy's house is all done at no cost for the families and children that we serve. And the only way we can do that work is to rely on the generous philanthropy of folks out in the community who believe in what it is that we're doing here. So while we're grateful to our sponsors and grateful to our community that supports us, now's the moment where you at home can consider also supporting our important and critical mission during this critical time in our nation's history. It's a really easy thing to do. I know we all have our cell phones handy, so if you take out your cell phone, all you need to do is text Judi, that's Judi, to 56651 and make a donation, whatever amount that feels right for you if you're able. We would be so appreciative. Or you can visit judyshouse.org/give to make a gift now or at any time during the program or frankly anytime after the program as well. We'd love to have as many people get involved to support our efforts as we can, and we're so grateful for all of you to think through that gift and be a part of our work with us. We're excited that at the end of tonight's event, we're going to have a big reveal and we're going to tally up all the donations leading up until today and throughout the program, and we'll share that with you. I'd also like to take a moment to come back and thank our sponsors that we would not be doing this event without. First of all, a huge thank you to our MVP sponsors, Mike and Peggy Shanahan. Also, our touchdown sponsors, we also owe a huge debt of gratitude to. We want to say thank you to Sharon Magnus Blake and Ernie Blake, the RJ Clark Family Foundation, Breakthrough Beverage, Ron Kemp, Tyler and Lauren Magnus, and Melissa Corrado Harrison. Thank you to our touchdown sponsors. We also want to acknowledge our End Zone and club level sponsors for their commitment to grieving children and families. Please join me in thanking our End Zone sponsors, Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck, and Molly Broren and Bill Mosier. Thank you for your help. And lastly, a round of applause to our club level sponsors. So many people stepped forward to make this evening's event possible, and we are so grateful. Thank you to Alpine Bank, Harm C. Fishback Foundation and the Stapleton family, Hogan Levels, IMA Foundation, PCL Construction, US Bank, the Uyghurs Family Foundation, Officescapes, Dave and Sue Palmer, Mimi and Ed Roberson, Amit and Bijal Shah, and Mike and Leslie Wynn. Thank you to all of you for making our community stronger through the work and support that you're showing us this evening. I'm going to remind you again that it's easy to get involved and join the likes of these amazing people who are making a difference by getting out your phone and texting Judi, that's Judi, to 56651 this evening. 100% of our services are offered at no cost, and when you make a donation, you're directly helping children and families who are grieving, making sure that they have the critical support that they need while we do our work. Next, we have a special opportunity to hear firsthand what it means to be a client at Judi's House. I'd like to thank Jenna and her dad, Zach, for being courageous enough to share their story with all of us tonight. As Brian shared with us earlier, our childhood bereavement estimation model tells us that 1 out of every 14 children in the United States will experience the death of a parent or a sibling by the time they reach the age of 18. This is such a sobering statistic, and frankly, one that is little understood in our nation. That's part of our work, is to bring understanding and support around that sobering statistic. And also, this is a fact that Jenna lived through when she was just a child. Jenna's is a story of resilience and courage, and it highlights her journey with Judi's House. So let's watch together.
My name is Jenna Yakis, and I am a former client and a former intern at Judi's House. My brother Jacob died on September 17, 2009 by suicide. Jacob was an amazing musician. He could pick up any instrument and play a song off of it instantly. He loved animals and he loved the outdoors. He was very funny and such a great soul. So it was probably about a month after my brother died that I first went to Judi's House, and I can still remember walking into that big door of Judi's House and what room I was in, and it wasn't like going to school. It wasn't like doing homework. It was something I wanted to do. It was something I looked forward to. I was a very shy middle schooler, and I just remember feeling very alone after my brother died. I felt like nobody understood me. None of my friends had ever had someone close to them die. I felt like the emotions I was having were, nothing anyone else had experienced before, because I'm 13 years old. It seems like these emotions are so vast and crazy and out of my control. Judi's House helped me not feel alone. I was able to connect with other kids who felt like me, who understood how I was feeling, and that was the greatest gift I could get. I think the car rides home were the best part. My dad and I would talk in the car rides about what came up at Judi's House, what activities did we do, how we were feeling after that. Judi's House allowed my dad and I to get closer because I saw his vulnerability, and it modeled emotional response in a positive way for me so that I felt comfortable sharing my emotions with my parents and with my family even more.
I've never cried so much since I lost my son. I probably hardly ever cried before then. And I learned not to hide it from my kids. I couldn't, number one, but When we shared the parents themselves, we talked about how we had to be strong for our kids, but part of being strong was showing your vulnerability and letting them know you were hurting as well. When we lost Jacob, we got a great support from our family and friends, but they left too soon. The grieving doesn't stop, but the support does. And being given tools and a safe place to be and grieve was just as helpful as anything could have been. It strengthened us all. It made us closer, for sure, but it strengthened us in our ability to be a family again, feel safe, feel like there was a tomorrow.
Judi's house really became my home and really became a place that I looked forward to going and I felt comfortable and happy at when I was there. When I went to Judi's house and I felt the love and the care and I saw how important it was that other children get the care that I got, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a grief counselor someday. And after I graduated with my bachelor's in psychology, I then decided I'm gonna come back to Colorado because I want to intern at Judi's house. And really it was a dream come true.
In any tragedy, you hope for a silver lining to be there somewhere. And the silver lining is that Jenna will go out and help other people go through this process. She will take not only her experience, but now her education and help others that are hurting the way that we hurt at that time.
As someone who has been a client and been trained in Judi's house's philosophies and values, I now know that I can bring that out into this community and still share the beauty of Judi's house.
Wow, what a story from Jenna and Zach. Thank you both for sharing your story. Jenna, what a story of resilience, of courage in the face of adversity. Thank you for sharing that with us. It just goes to show you that making meaning of a loss can be a powerful thing. And for us at Judi's house, it's one of the most important things that we do. The reason I jump out of bed every morning to go and to support Judi's house is to take a tragedy in a family's life, in an individual kid's life, and support that child and that family through that most difficult and dark time. And when they get through that to the other side, to have the tools like Jenna has built and Zach has built to give back in ways that are beneficial and meaningful to those around them in honor of the person who's died. It's such a powerful, powerful story. Thank you. So now we're going to turn our attention to the matchup tomorrow. And we talked a little bit earlier with Charles about some of his experiences, but I'm really looking forward to you hearing his personal experience of playing in the Super Bowl and what he's expecting to see tomorrow. Take a look. I want to get your thoughts about the experience of tomorrow, of the Super Bowl experience. You played in two of them. One with the Oakland Raiders, and then one obviously with Green Bay in Super Bowl 45. And if you just think back to your time playing in a Super Bowl, tell the people what's different about playing in a Super Bowl game than any other game.
First of all, you know, it's a long road to get to the playoffs, right? But then, you know, once you get to the playoffs, it's one and done. So, you know, there's a certain amount of pressure that, you know, each team player that puts on themselves that you're like, dang, we made it here, but you know, this ain't a 5-game series, this ain't a 7-game series. It's like, hey, this is it, you know. So whatever happens in this particular game, it's either, you know, go forward or you go home. And that's what kind of was the motivation behind my speech. And it was like, hey, let's just focus for the next 2 weeks on winning the championship, because we've already come this far. But I'm going to promise you guys, if we get here and we don't win it, there's no guarantee you get back the next year.
Let's be one mind. Let's be one heartbeat. One purpose. One goal. One more game.
So you spend all your time trying to get to this moment, and you think you have a good team, and you think that, you're going to have a good team for the next couple of years. It doesn't work that way, So going back to 2002, when I played for the Raiders and we met up with Tampa in the Super Bowl, we got rolled up out of the stadium. But we felt like we had a good team, and we felt like the next year we'd be right back in the mix. Well, the next year we were 4-12.
You mentioned how fleeting it is, the opportunity. Don't know when you're going to get back. You had that one moment early in your career with Oakland, and then you had a minute there before you got back with Green Bay. You finally get back with Green Bay, and you've got the team to win. You've got the quarterback to win in Aaron Rodgers, and you get hurt in the first half, man. You go in, you have an x-ray. They tell you that you broke your collarbone, and you're not going to finish the Super Bowl that you've been waiting for, dude. Take us through the emotion of that and what happened at halftime in Super Bowl 45.
Yeah, so it's crazy because the first half we dominated, and then they scored. So they kind of had a little momentum going into halftime. I'm in the locker room at this point, and we take an X-ray, and the doctors had taken my pictures out. They looked at it, but nobody ever came back in the room. So I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, well, what did the X-ray say? So a couple of minutes roll by. I'm like, what the? So I get up and I go around the corner. And right around the corner is where they can, the pictures hanging up of my shoulder. And I look, and I can see my collarbone like this. And I'm just like, because at that moment I'm like, I know my shoulder's broken. Ain't no going back in the game. Ain't no shooting it up. Right before they go out for the second half, coach calls the team up. And as he's talking, I'm like, Coach, let me say a few words. And I get in the middle of the team, and I'm like, hey guys, man, you know how much this means to me, how much I need a championship, how much to me, I was like, I wanted us all to win, but I was like, shit, I need a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I was like, you guys know how much I want this, man. Go out there, man, and get it done, right? And then coach finishes, and, man, the team goes out there and handles their business, man, and we win the Lombardi Trophy, which that's the ultimate, man. So it was great experience, man.
It's amazing, the emotions that you had to go through to get up for the game, play the game, know now the game's taken away from you, but still, as a captain of that team, to be the motivation for them to go out in the second half, man. It's a great memory. It's a great Super Bowl story, and will go down in history, man. So let's talk about the game tomorrow. Let's talk about the matchup tomorrow. My first question to you on the game tomorrow would be this. Now be honest, Charles Woodson in his prime against Tyreek Hill in his prime, man-to-man, who wins?
See, I'm never going to bet against myself, Grease, so I don't even know where this question came from. With Tyreek Hill, he's a special individual because he has world-class speed. You got to understand that if they get that step, they're out of there. So you have to understand where you're at on the field, understand how to play them, understand what defense you're playing. And when you think about Tampa, in the first game they played this season, they got to really be cognizant of what happened that first game. You can't just let this guy run free, man. You just can't do it.
If you're Todd Bowles, how would you play and defend Tyreek Hill?
If I'm Tampa Bay's defense, my focus is going to be on two guys. It's going to be on Tyreek Hill. It's going to be on Travis Kelce. And I'm going to bracket those guys as much as I can. And I'm going to say, you know what? If they can run the ball on us, fine. But I don't want big plays over the top. I don't want home run balls over my head. I don't want Travis Kelce to kill us. So you know, in these type of games, you got to kind of pick your poison. You got to say what are we going to allow to happen and what are we not going to allow to happen. And then if they beat us with Hardeman, if they beat us with Hilaire, you got us. But we ain't letting those two guys.
What do you foresee for Patrick Mahomes? Could he be one of the greatest of all time as his career unfolds?
I mean, he has the athleticism, he has the mental capacity, he has the awareness, he has all of those things as a great quarterback. And so you couple that with Andy Reid and Bieniemy and their play calling and the different ways that they attack you. If he wins the Super Bowl tomorrow, there's no question, you know, you have to put him in that conversation. But until he gets to the point to where he can at least get to 6 Super Bowls, Tom Brady is still that guy.
I've saved this part of the conversation for last because of, you know, how well we know Tom Brady over 25 years that we've known him. And as I think about Tom tonight and what he's thinking about, I can't help but know that he is thinking like the number 199th pick in the NFL draft. He is thinking with a chip on his shoulder. He's thinking about not himself, but all of his teammates. The fact that very few, if any of them, other than JPP and Gronk, have ever even played in a Super Bowl. He's thinking about giving them the best experience of their life tomorrow. That's who Tom Brady really is, and we know that, but not a lot of fans know that about him.
One thing about him, he really appreciates the moment and what it means. I think he understands what it means for the city of Tampa. He's thinking about those guys that haven't ever been to a Super Bowl, those guys that last year were just 7-9, that people, you know, talked about them as being underachievers. These guys have a chance to really do something really special. If he wins this one, it'll be the most special Super Bowl that he's ever been a part of. No questions asked.
I think when we look back 25 years from now, this will be a watershed moment in NFL history. Obviously, with Tom, every time he plays in the Super Bowl, he's making history at this age. And then with Patrick Mahomes and where his career goes, this might be the only time they face off against each other in the Super Bowl. So I think it's going to be a historic game tomorrow. All right, you know, give us your prediction. Who do you think wins?
I give Tampa a fighting chance on this because I think that you can move the ball on Kansas City's defense. I think you can move the ball on them. So Tampa Bay is going to have their opportunities to put the ball in the end zone. The most important thing is what we talked about earlier, is they have to limit the big plays on offense by Kansas City. If they can limit the big plays and also limit those big plays from being any big play from being a score and making Kansas City go the hard way, then I think Tampa Bay wins this game. I like how Tampa Bay's defense is playing. I like the speed on their defense. I like the way JPP has been playing, Shaq Barrett. Those two linebackers, White and David, those guys are fast as lightning. So if they can get to Mahomes and they can limit the big plays from their offense, I'm taking Tampa Bay.
All right. That's my old team, man. You know, I got to go with Tampa Bay. And just so that everybody knows that's watching this bowl bash tonight, how important you have been in raising money for the children at Mott Children's Hospital back in Michigan, and what you've done off the field with the research fund, the Woodson Fund. Over 10 years, you've been raising money, and you've raised over $3 million.
Well, man, I had some, some pretty good guys to follow, man, I would say, man. Yourself, you know, Coach Carr was very instrumental, I think, to all of us, in as far as, you know, making us understand that, you know, it was important for us to be around the hospital, show our faces, show our support for, you know, the families that were affected by, you know, whatever type of, disease or whatever they were dealing with. It was important for him to show us that way as far as, you know, hey, be around, man. Show these people that you care. show them that you're thinking about them. And I know you're doing great things with Judy's House. And so I think each of us, man, we all feel, that obligation, to try to make the world a better place, man. And we're all doing our part. So I appreciate you as well.
We are all rooting for you to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We've all respected your athletic ability, Charles. And as time has gone on, we've learned to respect who you are on and off the field as a leader. And now the sense that I get, the overwhelming feeling I get is I'm just proud of you, brother. And I appreciate you, and I wish you Godspeed tonight and the best of luck getting into the Hall of Fame, pal.
Man, I certainly appreciate it, man. Hey, man, we champions, man. You my quarterback, man. You my quarterback, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, man, hey, I appreciate it, man. It's always good talking to you, and appreciate all the kind words always. And great job to you, man, on Monday Night Football this year, man. Spectacular job, you and your crew, old Riddick. And those guys, man, you guys did a great job, man. So, hey, appreciate you, Grease.
No doubt, going to be a big night for Charles tonight. I know he's got some butterflies, but I didn't tell him this, but I am 100% confident that he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer tonight. But we're sending all of our good wishes to him. And our good wishes to the Betts family. Thank you again for all you've done in support of Judy's House. Thank you to Jenna and Zach for sharing your story with us and impacting our lives in such a powerful way. I want to thank all of our sponsors tonight. We couldn't do this without you. We couldn't continue to do the work at Judy's House without your support. I want to encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to donate, if you've been moved by this program tonight, we'd love for you guys to support Judy's House and our mission going forward. And the last thing I'd say is, we're going to have a great game tomorrow. It's going to be a historic game. Enjoy the game. It's going to be remembered. I think 20, 25 years from now, we'll look back on this game between Mahomes and Tom Brady. It'll be a watershed moment in the history of the National Football League. So enjoy it. Thank you for joining me. It's been so much fun hosting this from Tampa. And I'm going to send it back to Jessica and Brooke in Denver.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Charles. That was awesome. Such awesome footage and such a great conversation between the two of you. I am even more excited for tomorrow's big game now. And I also feel more prepared to bet on the game against our kids when I get home. So this is great. You truly are both champions on the field and off. And we are cheering for you tonight, Charles. It was so fun to see your playing days together in college and the NFL. But I also know how much of your life each of you has devoted to helping children and families, which is what makes you both heroes to me. In fact, you're right up there with the Betts and Jenna and Zach and our devoted staff here at Judy's House who are changing lives every day. I want to thank our team for persevering through this challenging year and give special thanks to Julie and Amy and all of you who made this special event happen tonight. Thank you to our incredible sponsors and to all who have given this evening. Your generosity just blows us away. We're seeing so many incredible gifts coming in. Thank you to Steve Miller, Ivy Dybel, Doug Mayo, Kathy Hariff, Chuck and Becky Morris, Anna Tenzer, and so many more. We are fortunate to have you in our family and in our community. This has been a great night with all of you, and we can't wait to be able to gather in person with you all again soon. Until then, we hope you'll stay connected with us in ways that are meaningful to you, and we look forward to seeing you again. It's been so nice to be here at Judy's House with you too, Jessica, our quarterback.
Thank you, Brooke. And thank you everyone for participating in our first ever Super Saturday Bowl Bash. And I just have to take a moment and make sure that we truly recognize the gift that Brooke and Brian have given this community and so many families who have benefited from their life's work. You know, they are toiling day in and day out to make sure that this organization is strong and moving forward. And for me personally, it has been an unbelievable opportunity to serve the mission that they started 19 years ago and have had such a huge impact on all that we serve. So truly, from the bottom of Judy's House's heart, from my heart, thank you to Brooke and Brian for all you've done for our community.
And thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. We have had so much fun getting to look forward to tomorrow and tell some of the stories of the good work that we do. And as we've gone through this hour, we've had so many friends and supporters come forward to make a financial donation to support our mission and the work we do. So I am so excited to share with you where we landed at the end of the night. Although remember, it's not over till it's over, so you can keep on going after this moment. But as of now, we have raised $422,000 to support Judy's House and the mission we serve. Thank you so much for making this incredible impact on our work. Our staff thanks you, our clients thank you, and we are so grateful to share that success with you. I just want to take a moment to remind you that you can learn more about Judy's House on our website. You can learn about the services that we offer, and there's still an opportunity. I don't want to sound greedy after that great total, but we would love to have you get engaged if you still are willing and able. It can happen throughout the rest of the night. You can still text us at JUDI, text Judy at 56651, or visit judyshouse.org/give to make a difference and make a gift. It's been so fun to spend this hour with you. Good luck to Charles this evening, and I hope we have an exciting game tomorrow. I hope everybody gets to celebrate those moments with those that you love, and we've had a wonderful time spending this time with you. Thank you, everyone, and good night from Judy's House.